In this video, we'll be looking at the Outerbanks cast behind the scenes revealed. Season 1 of Outerbanks introduced us to the Pogues and the Kooks and the Camerons, and if you watched it, you know what I'm talking about. Let's get closer to the cast and what happened behind the scenes. Behind the scenes. To begin with, we know that the cast and crew of Outerbanks were having a blast based on the clips we've seen and social media posts. And why not? They now live like family after spending the entire first season together, and they're on the beautiful Mediterranean island of Barbados. A lot of alcoholic beverages are also shown to be consumed in photos on social media. We anticipate a lot of enjoyment. To guarantee that nobody would get ill during Season 2 production, everyone engaged that had to quarantine for 2 weeks. The set for Season 2 was likewise selected to be entirely closed off. This is likely to have deepened the camaraderie between the actors and crew even more. During filming, the cast essentially lived together. During filming, Stokes stayed with Rudy Pankow, JJ, to strengthen their friendship. Plus, when Jonathan Davis, Pope, and Austin North, Topper, were roommates in real life, they lived just a few doors down from Stokes and Pankow, with Klein a floor below them. Drew Starkey, Rafe, and Madison Bailey, Kiara, were only a 5-minute drive away. Everyone would come over on weekends, play games, blast music, and eat food, Stokes told Nylon. This is especially true for Madelyn Klein and Chase Stokes, who met on set and have been dating for nearly a year. The chemistry you see is genuine, not staged. Who wouldn't want to be confined in Barbados with their significant other? Before its first season was released, Outerbanks received some backlash from locals who were upset that Netflix didn't film the show in the Outerbanks and didn't include any Outerbanks landmarks. Why do you believe this occurred? The show was shot in Charleston, South Carolina, in protest of North Carolina's contentious bathroom bill, which compelled residents to use the toilet that corresponded to their gender at birth, which was implemented in 2016 and partially overturned in 2017. Since then, the ACLU have been fighting the bill in court for years, culminating a court judgment against it in summer of 2019, just after the development on the Outerbanks stopped. The clause was set to expire at the end of 2020, so we could see Outerbanks in the real Outerbanks. A petition has been started to include a long action scene in the middle of Duck Donuts. In the end, shooting a program about a place in the US is vital for locations like the real Outerbanks for tourists, but perhaps not shooting a show in the precise location is helpful to concentrate attention on concerns related to human rights, regardless of your opinions. In real life, Sarah Cameron's fictional residence, Lowndes Grove, or The Grove, was completed in 1786. The waterfront property is a wedding and event venue that is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Stokes is 27 years old, a decade older than John B., and the oldest member of the Pogues cast, the rest of whom are in their early 20s. One blunder was widely publicized on social media. Chapel Hill is landlocked, making it impossible to take a ferry to or from the city, as John B. suggested. Sarah is one of them, but this wasn't a one-off blunder. Pete told McClatchy News, "I don't want people to think we don't know Chapel Hill isn't near the coast. In the original script, they took a ferry from an island to the coast, then took an Uber to Chapel Hill. But that scene of them getting into the Uber and driving to Chapel Hill was cut, and never even shot. We cut it not realizing it would imply Chapel Hill was on the coast." Sarah's rain kiss was a mistake. On the day of John B.'s filming, Pete, Stokes, and Klein believed that the wet weather was fate after seeing Sarah's kiss scene. We were all like, let's do it. We gotta do it. This is great. This is kismet right now. That is so sweet, Klein told Cosmopolitan. Hell yes, we're doing this. Full Notebook vibes, says the team. And yeah, we just committed the entire day to make sure we executed that sequence correctly. The crew was forced to abandon the city while filming in the summer of 2019 due to Hurricane Dorian. Bailey told Elite Daily, "We dipped and traveled to Asheville, North Carolina. Klein's character is apparently the least like herself. Klein has the least in common with her character, spoiled rich girl Sarah, according to the cast, which is interesting given that she comes from the area where the episode was set." Pankow almost played John B. Despite Pankow's desire to portray JJ from the beginning, the filmmakers insisted that he played John B. He told Us Weekly, "I actually read through Rafe, JJ, and John B. inside like 2 weeks. He flew to Charleston for a final reading, assuming he'd be playing John B., only to find that the producers wanted him to portray JJ. In Season 2, there's a time leap sequence. It's unclear what causes it or how it'll affect the program, but it's one of those plot twists that gets us even more excited for Season 2. Outerbanks could be renewed for a 4th season. Pate told USA Today that Outerbanks will have 4 seasons in all, so if fans are lucky, the Pogues and Pogues at Heart will have plenty more adventures ahead of them. With Season 2 here, we wanted to take a look back at Season 1, just as a reminder. What happened in Season 1 again? After more than a year in global health situation-induced isolation, Netflix's adolescent drama Outerbanks made us yearn for a tan, a summer romance, and a sun-drenched vacation. But above all, it left us wishing for a 2nd season, so we could make sense of the show's bizarre closing episode. Thankfully, our Outerbanks wishes are coming true. Netflix has announced a 2nd season, and the cast has wrapped filming in in Charleston, South Carolina as of April 2021. Outer Banks depicts the social struggle between the upper-class kooks and the lower-class pogues in the Outer Banks of North Carolina. The show's trailer states it's the kind of place where you either have 2 jobs or 2 residences, 2 tribes, 1 island. The drama revolves around a $400 million treasure hunt aboard a sinking ship. There are love triangles and murder motivations to satisfy your infatuation and spiteful desires along the road. If you, like me, have been engrossed in a show that somehow fills the voids left by One Tree Hill, The Goonies, and Gossip Girl, here's all you need to know about what's next on this fantastic show. Season 1 finale. Ward, if you recall, manages to take the gold from under the pogues of the finale, loading it into a plane and shipping it to the Bahamas. Oh, and Sarah is his daughter, which should have complicated matters even more for John B., but love is blind, as we all know. As Outer Banks' first season came to a close, John B., by parking his van at the end of the runway, attempted to prevent Ward's jet from taking off. Sheriff Peterkin then arrived to place Ward under arrest. The treasure is taken to the Bahamas, where Ward's drugged-up son, Rafe, Drew Starkey, murders Peterkin, which Ward manages to frame John B. for. John is forced to flee, but he's not alone, as Sarah, outraged by her father and brother's cruel crimes, discovers where our young hero is hiding and tracks him down. John B. is now at a crossroads. He and Sarah are on the run from the cops, the kooks, and Ward, all of whom want a piece of them. They devise an escape plan, with JJ commandeering his violent father's boat, the Phantom, and offering it up to the fleeing duo thanks to the pogues. They leave the authorities, and while Ward begs for his daughter's return over the radio, John B. reverses the script, informing Ward and the cops around that he thinks Ward was the one who killed Big John. Meanwhile, after revealing the specifics of his and his father's terrible actions, Rafe is blackmailed by his drug dealer. A major moment in the climax is when John B. and Sarah are forced to sail into the face of an incoming storm, which is large enough to prevent pursuit, but they decide to face it together rather than turn back. After being capsized by a large wave and drifting out to sea, they are rescued by a passing boat on its route to Nassau, the Bahamas capital. That's a good start for Season 2 of Outer Banks. John B. can now resume his pursuit for the gold that Ward smuggled to that island nation and for the man who killed his father. That's our video for today. We hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to leave comments below about other facts we may have missed about the show, especially those of you living close to the sets. What do you think will be a major turning point for Season 2? We appreciate you watching this video. Be sure to check back for more. Until then, stay safe.